Alright, working on today's project, which is to run this 4-gauge wire up through the firewall where we've gone before to put that into the battery terminal. So I've got new battery terminals here that will come back and sit underneath the footwell right here by the fuse box. And then what I'll do is run 3 different cables off of that. One to go to the main amp that powers the speakers. One to run sit over here. So eventually I'll replace this amp with an aftermarket, so I just want to run a cable there. I don't necessarily want to hook it up yet. And then similarly run another cable back here under the seat into the back where the sub will eventually go, and then the third wire will go all the way to the back for the hot wire for the fuel pump. So we got to run 3 wires, so that's why this is a big 4-gauge. So run off the battery, the positive terminal. It'll come in here to a junction box, and then it will split those 3 wires into their respective 8-gauge wires right here. So those 8 gauges will go to the 2 amps, and then the Hotwire kit has its own wiring to go with it. So same as before, we'll just take our little metal rod here, we'll tape this onto it, we'll shove that up through the firewall and into the engine bay, and then we'll go over to the battery terminal. So I'm going to tape this off and start putting it through. And after a little bit of forcing, you can see we are up through the firewall. It's just right above where the steering rack comes through. So it's through there, so I can now move up to the engine bay. I can open the hood, and then I can pull it through from the other side. So got myself a collection of pliers here. I think these will probably be the right ones, just some extra long $10 ones off of Amazon. And then you can see the white duct tape really helps because it's a little more visible. So we're just going to reach in through here, grab onto that, good tug. Takes a bit of effort because you got to pull the rod in the rest of the way, but we're out, so now I do it by hand, and we're through. So then I'm just going to grab the razor blade, cut the duct tape off, and then we'll start moving toward the battery. Okay, so we got the wire, removed the duct tape, and just pulled it over here through the engine bay. Just have to carefully thread it through here so we don't run into anything else. So we need to actually, even though this is a black wire, it goes onto, ooh, we shouldn't touch that. Even though it's a black wire, it goes onto the red terminal, because this is a positive. I couldn't get a red wire. Well, actually I could, I just didn't think it looked very good. So you'll notice the wiring here into terminals is not very pretty anymore. It's getting kind of old, so we're going to clean this up. Same with the negative, it's full of that gunk. So we're going to peel this back, we're going to clean these up. These are the new terminals. They're kind of a multi-purpose terminal. It goes in lots of different configurations where you can put multiple pieces into it. So this is by a company called Recoil. So it gives you a positive and negative and allows multiple connections off the same terminal. And kind of looks nice, has a nice rubber boot that goes over it. So I'm going to go ahead and get this configured. I'll show you what it looks like when it's done, but I'll have to cut these wires off, strip them back, repeel them, and insert them into the new spot. And it's time for some wiring. The junction box finally came in, so it's 1 in, 3 out is how I'm building it. So it'll take a 4-gauge wire coming in on this side. You just loosen up this hex bolt. I bought 100 amp fuses for it, but this that comes with is at 30. So I might buy a new amp for the one that's running the Hotwire kit, but the others are for the stereo, so I'll stick with the 100s. And then on this side it has 3 ports for 8-gauge wire or similar going out. So I'll do the Hotwire, amp for the speakers, amp for the sub coming out the other side. And then it's running up through the firewall, so I trimmed it back to here. So I'm going to put it onto the firewall up in here. So I just need to strip back the wire to expose about, I don't know, 1/3 of an inch of copper wire so that I can plug that into here. And then I'm going to take out this fuse since it already has a fuse in the line. Take this out and then also wire in the other 2, and then we should be ready to start running power from the engine bay. All right. So expose the wire there. So I'm just going to go ahead and do a little bit to twist them together. Probably just turn off the music. I'm gonna get a YouTube violation for having any music playing, but oh well. It's too much work to turn it off now. Alright, so we're gonna set the camera down for a second. Sorry for the bad camera work. It's too hard to work on a car with one hand while you're holding a video camera. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in and show you. Alright. Hand free now, so yeah, just plug it in the side, twist this down and you're good. So we're gonna go ahead and pull this over here. I need to trim the carpet down, it's kind of getting in the way. And then I have a footrest up here, so I'm gonna mount it just a little bit above the footrest. So I'm gonna tuck this wire back by the carpet. I'm gonna run this inbound right here, and then just need to screw that into the firewall, and then we're good to go with our 3 outbound wires right there, just like that. But I'm gonna get my wires running before I use these anchor points to screw it into the firewall. So I've got this one running for the this is the wire for the speaker amp. There's the Hotwire kit for the fuel pump, and somewhere around here, now there's the inbound wire, so it's under here somewhere. It's the sub amp, I'll find it. Alright, we got all 3 wires in. Once again, that's Hotwire kit. Red is going to the subwoofer, so I've got that laced underneath the carpet. Comes out under here, it'll be under the seats, and it'll run to the rear area. And then this one is gonna run behind the center console, comes out over here by the, right now, the stock amplifier, but eventually that'll be an aftermarket one. We're just wiring it in right now, make it easier. And then I've got a little slack right here on this line. So I want to mount it up here above the footrest. There's 2 mounting wings, one on this side, one on this side. So I've just got a few self-tapping screws from the hardware store, nothing too fancy. And it's going to be inside the car, so I don't have to worry about rust, but they are, I believe, stainless steel. But they're really nice for this, so just get a drill and we'll drop them in, and then we'll see how it looks, and then I'll start pulling the wires tight and threading them exactly where I want them to be in final position. Almost forgot to mention, I actually need to disconnect the fuses for these 2 wires because these 2 aren't going to anything, and I don't want a hot wire just running through the car with no termination on it. That doesn't make any sense, so I'm going to pull this fuse and this fuse out and just put them in a safe place until I'm ready to install the other pieces, and just run this one for the time being. So probably a little too much for what I need just for the Hotwire kit, but it'll be expandable later. So I'm gonna get my hex key and pull out these 2 fuses, and then there is a nice little cover for the box. Just sits on top of here like this, has 4 screws that hold it in place, gives it a nice clean look, keeps it safe from dirt and dust and water. And now I'll go ahead and take out those fuses and then mount the box. All right, after a lot of huffing and puffing, I've got the box installed up here, and now I am starting the process of trimming back the carpet up above so that it will actually lay flat in the footwell, because it's been kind of all over the place. It is very hot outside, and that is on purpose because this carpet has this mass loaded vinyl for soundproofing, which is great, but it makes it really hard to work with when it's cold. So it's pretty warm. It's 80 degrees or so right now. So I am just sticking my leg and my ass out in the air. Like, I'm sure the neighbors are laughing at me right now. I'm trying to get up into this area to get this carpet cut, but it's getting closer, so I can start putting on like the footwell rest and other things that will make this a bit more permanent. I do need to install this pin right here, which we gotta find it, and there's another screw that goes on back here. Again, I gotta find that too. I actually don't know where they are. I thought they were in a bag somewhere, but they're not. So I'm gonna find this, get this carpet laid in so that I can finish out the driver's side so that I can mount the seat hardware, and that'll get this thing one step closer to being ready to ship out. So I'm going to work on laying in this carpet, just starting up in this corner and just working my way around. I am going to go get the hardware that mounts, up here, down the side, all the plastic brackets so that the carpet can get into a semi-permanent position once I get the bracket laid for the seat, which will be coming up soon. All right, it's quitting time for today, but I have successfully gotten all the way around to the footrests. I'm a little worried the the cuts on the carpet kit don't line up exactly. They're close, but not exactly what I need. So hopefully the trim pieces will kind of push things where they need to be, but got the footwell taken care of. Things are flat. Gas pedal goes all the way in. Brake pedal's good. Clutch is good. This was tough. The top was easy. The bottom was really hard because all of the soundproofing material pushed it out quite a bit, so I had to cut some of the carpet instead of soundproofing back. But you can see the wiring kit is now nice and clean. Underneath here I need to pull that just a little bit tighter so there's no slack in it, but now you see all the wires are run, and that's going to save us a lot of headache in the future. So running out of time, gotta head out for date night tonight, but yeah, it's coming together. So that's it for today. The last step in getting this ready to go is I need to hook the new battery terminal that has the cable running in through the firewall to the main cables coming from alternator and other systems. So this is the factory wiring. The problem is, of course, that this wire doesn't reach this terminal. So this one almost does, but not quite. So what we need to do is install a wire. So bought this 2-gauge wire off of Amazon. So what we're going to do is link that up here to the terminal. I'm going to cut that off here, and then I've got these butt joints here that I'm going to crimp to close the factory wires onto the new wire. And then a bit of heat shrink I'm going to put over the whole thing so that it looks like one big factory wire. So I'm going to go ahead and get started putting this cable on to the battery terminal. Alright, so use the razor blade to get the insulation off. Easy. Then I've just got these butt joints. Again, another Amazon special. So I'm just going to push it in about right there. And I'll just grab get that out far enough. There we go. Grab my lineman's pliers. This is not an official crimping tool, but it's the same thing. That's going to probably take 2 hands. So I'm going to crimp. Alright, after some cursing and coercing, finally got the upper butt on there, lower butt on the lower pieces here. I've cut about 2 inches of heat shrink, and then I'm just going to go ahead and slide this down and over the lower pieces here, and then I'm just going to get the heat gun on there, reattach the upper side, and then we should have a good battery connection. Okay, heat shrink is on there, butt joint is on there. Now we're just going to go ahead and put our last bolt in here, and then lock it down onto the terminal, then go try and start the car, make sure it works. Okay, there is the final connection. Car is headed out 2 days, so this is the last thing to do. Well, gotta go window. So there. And we're good. And the other good news, the gas I put in the tank looks like it's registering. I didn't put a whole lot in, but I think it's coming off at 0. So next up, we're going to replace the windowsill, this piece right here, and she's ready to go.